The little girl was just playing with her sister. On the boat, her father yelled and scolded the little girl harshly. "Come here, you did wrong!" he roared and interacted with the little girl. The boy, standing next to him, witnessing this scene, was terrified. He used all his strength to push the man to the ground. Kia, fearing her father was hurt, quickly pushed the boy aside. The wife also ran over, worried about her husband's condition. Unexpectedly, the husband began to interact with her. It wasn't until late at night that things in the family hadn't stopped. Kia just covered her ears to avoid it all. The next morning, as Kia was getting water, she heard a heavy door close. The little girl quickly ran to the door and saw her mother packing, her bags ready to leave. When Kia ran out of the room, her mother had disappeared. Although her mother never returned, the interactions in the family continued. A few months later, the siblings in the family left home one after another. The last one to leave was Judy. He wanted to take his sister with him, but he was helpless because he couldn't even take care of himself, let alone another person. Before leaving, he repeatedly warned Kia, "Kia, you must be careful. If you encounter danger, hide deep in the swamp where the singing crawfish live." From the lessons of her siblings, Kia learned to live with her father. She tried to avoid him as much as possible to protect herself, and Kia never bothered him. She often went alone deep into the swamp, where the trees were lush and green, and small animals often appeared. Kia understood the laws of natural survival. One day, she got lost in the swamp and met the boy who had helped her before. The boy's name was Tate, and he was Jody's friend. Tate saw Kia's situation and said, "It's okay, I often get lost too." With Tate's company, Kia finally returned home safely. The boy, full of sunshine, seemed to soothe the tension in Kia's heart. There was something about Tate that made her feel emotions other than hurt for the first time. This also gave Kia courage. For the first time, she approached her father and said, "I'm hungry." Perhaps feeling guilty towards the family, this time the father was not angry. He took Kia to the store in town. He bought a bag of flour and some groceries. Juman and Ma Ben, the store owners, were a kind and good-hearted couple. Mrs. Ma Ben knew about Kia's family situation, but she didn't deliberately expose it. Instead, she gently reminded Kia to go to school and secretly gave her a lollipop. After that, Kia actually listened to Mrs. Ma Ben and tried to go to school, but her classmates ridiculed her for being dirty and didn't want to sit with her. That was Kia's last day of school. She felt that learning in nature was more important. It seemed that for a while her father treated Kia quite well. He would take her fishing, and when he knew Kia liked feathers, he even gave her his army backpack. That day, Kia received a letter from her mother. The little girl was overjoyed. But after reading it, her father burned the letter and told Kia that her mother would never come back. That night, under Kia's gaze, her father burned all of her mother's belongings. Then, one day, her father also left. Although it wasn't as painful as when her mother left, the loneliness was an empty feeling. After her father left, Kia had to face the problem of survival. She didn't know how to live without corn flour. So at 4 a.m., she would go to the swamp to pick mussels and sell them in town to Juman and his wife in exchange for food and supplies. On the boat, Mrs. Ma Ben, knowing about Kia's situation, often gave her some donations from the church and taught her simple math. This life continued until October 1969. Two boys playing suddenly discovered a male corpse on the observation deck. After a thorough police investigation, they identified the victim as Chase, a well-known rich young man in town. The time of death was estimated to be around 2 a.m. Chase's body was found at the foot of the fire tower, while the trapdoor on the top floor was wide open. Therefore, the police speculated that Chase's death might have been an accident. However, the police also found Chase's blood and hair on the support frame below the tower. Forensic examination showed that the impact on the support frame at the back of the head was the main cause of Chase's death. For the impact to occur at the back of the head, Chase must have fallen head first. However, this did not match the crime scene, so it was possible that Chase had been pushed down by someone. Despite this, there were no fingerprints or footprints on the tower, not even the victim's fingerprints. However, the police found a red fiber on Chase's jacket. After examination, this fiber was identified as wool, but not from Chase's clothes. News of Chase's death quickly spread throughout the town, causing a stir among the residents. Due to existing prejudices against the swamp girl, Kia became the main suspect. Carrying suspicions and prejudices, the police went to Kia's residence. They found a red hat in the room, but no sign of Kia. The police deployed 2 high-speed canoes and found Kia deep in the swamp. Frightened by this sight, Kia jumped into the water to try to escape. But how could a small girl escape the police's pursuit? Finally, Kia was arrested in the water. Kia was arrested and charged with murder. A few days later, the court would prosecute her. At this time, an old man named Tom came to the prison. He was a famous retired lawyer in town and one of the few people who cared about Kia. He voluntarily offered the court to defend Kia because he didn't believe that a kind girl like Kia could kill someone. However, Kia had lived alone for many years, so she didn't react to Tom's goodwill. Before leaving, Tom gave Kia a seashell handbook. It was this handbook that made Kia trust Tom. Finally, she let go of her guard and recounted the specific reasons, why her parents and siblings left, as well as her painful experiences over the years. Since her father left, Kia had lived alone in the swamp until 1962. Kia found a feather under a large tree by the swamp. She was deeply attracted by this feather. Every day, different feathers and food were placed next to the tree. There were even a few small notes. Although Kia didn't understand the content of these notes, she kept them with her. One day, when she went to the tree, she saw a handsome young man. It turned out that the person who left the boat and feathers was Tate. He knew Kia liked birds and their feathers, so he often came here. Kia told him that she was illiterate and couldn't read the notes he left. "Oh, I just said that I've seen you a few times while fishing. I thought you might need some seeds and a lighter. I have extra, so you don't have to go to town. I think you'll like these feathers." After that, Tate actively taught Kia to read. After all, Kia had known Tate since childhood, and their relationship quickly became closer. Although Kia liked to be alone, she eventually had childhood memories of Tate. So she invited Tate to her house to read. On the walls of Kia's house, there were many paintings of different animals, and each painting was very vivid. It seemed that in Kia's world, these paintings had a certain vitality. Tate couldn't help but be surprised. In the days of reading together, Kia made rapid progress. From simple words to sentences, then to grammar and adjectives, even difficult ones, Kia could miraculously remember them. Soon they had read all the books about creatures in the library. 3 times a week, from summer to autumn, they learned about all the plants and animals and how they adapted to the Earth's changes over time. Time flew by quickly, and their relationship became more and more intimate. Not long after, Tate's father knew about it. "Is she your girlfriend?" "She's my friend." "I'm bringing her books because everyone treats her badly. She can't go to school and has no family." He didn't ask his son to obey him, but he asked Tate never to be like him, forever just a seafood loader. He reminded Tate not to forget his dream of going to college. The fragmented memories were interrupted by the trial. Kia was charged with first-degree murder. The victim's family demanded that Kia be given the harshest sentence. Tom told Kia that she had an option called a plea bargain. If Kia was willing to plead guilty, she would be sentenced to 10 years in prison, but would be released on parole after 6 years. If she insisted on a trial, the result would be life imprisonment or immediate release. Kia resolutely refused the first option. No matter how high the price, she didn't want to spend the rest of her life in prison. The second trial quickly began. The prosecutor accused Kia of pushing Chase from the fire tower between midnight and 2 a.m. on October 30th, then concealing her footprints and fingerprints. The defense lawyer also stated that Kia had character flaws that could lead to Chase's murder. Seeing Kia seemed nervous, Tom gave her a piece of paper with the clear words, "Don't panic." For this case, Tom was also very cautious. He argued sharply, presenting many cases and the objective evaluations of the townspeople. Before Tom's eloquent words, Kia's restless heart also calmed down. At the same time, her memories returned to 1962. It was a sunny morning. Tate and Kia were chatting by the tree. That day, she saw Tate talking to his father. Kia felt Tate's father was very kind and wanted to know about Tate's family. Tate hesitated a little, but finally told Kia that on Tate's birthday, his mother and sister went to buy birthday fruits for him. Unexpectedly, they had an accident on the way. Tate could never forget this sad past. Just as Kia was comforting Tate, a gust of wind blew, rustling the nearby leaves. As if carried by the leaves, they both swayed gently with the wind. The atmosphere became warm and wonderful. Kia's gentle gaze also made Tate's heart flutter. From that day on, Tate and Kia became a real couple. On Kia's birthday, Tate brought her a small cake. Kia saw it and was deeply moved. It seemed that she had forgotten her life for a long time, but now she was by the side of the person she loved. Kia felt that this was the happiest moment of her life. However, this was just the beginning. Along with the chirping of birds, a flock of snow geese migrated here and landed in front of the lovers. They couldn't help but embrace each other. Time passed from autumn to winter and then to spring. The only thing that didn't change in nature was change itself. Tate finally received his college admission letter. The two finally had to face separation. Although Kia was very sad, she still hugged Tate and spent the last night with him. Before leaving, Tate gave Kia a list of publishers. He hoped Kia could send her drawings and notes to these publishers. At least she could earn some royalties. Although she wouldn't be rich, Kia wouldn't have to dig for mussels to make a living anymore. Although she wouldn't be rich, Kia wouldn't have to dig for mussels to make a living anymore. In Tate's absence, Kia returned to her solitary life. She looked forward to Tate's return every day. Finally, Independence Day arrived. Kia found her best dress and put on special makeup for Tate. She went to the beach early to wait for him, but after a day and a night, Tate never appeared. Kia cried heartbroken on the beach. Finally, she understood one thing. Tate, life, and love were all the same. They all left her. But every time Kia fell, the swamp lifted her up. At some point, sadness would gradually dissipate, like water seeping into the sand. Although it didn't disappear, it sank deep into the earth. Back in court, the prosecutor argued that there were no footprints or fingerprints around the victim and the fire tower, not even on the open trap door. It was clear that someone intentionally erased the traces. Tom took out the tide table from that morning. According to the tide table, the footprints could have also been washed away by the tide. The absence of footprints could not prove Kia's guilt. Tom also presented a notice from the Forestry Department. As early as last July, the Forestry Department had discovered that the trapdoor was very dangerous and had sent a notice requesting the town to repair it. However, the town had delayed and did not carry out the repairs. To Tom's sharp words, Kia also expressed her agreement. At the same time, her thoughts returned to 1968. That day, when Kia returned from the beach, she discovered a man taking photos in front of her house. Kia quickly went to Juman and Ma Ben, the store owners. She then learned that the man was an subordinate of a real estate developer. They had surveyed the swamp for several weeks, wanting to drain this muddy swamp to build a resort. But Kia's family had left many years ago. She didn't know if the house was hers. Ma Ben told Kia that she needed to find land-related documents to prove that the house was hers. Leaving the store, Kia met Chase, the son of a wealthy family in town. He invited Kia for a picnic on his boat on Sunday. After some thought, Kia agreed. So she went to the land office. After checking all the documents, the house was fully documented, but she needed to pay an additional $800 in taxes. Returning home, Kia found the notes Tate had left. After 5 years, Kia finally followed this path. She sent her manuscript samples to publishers. The next day, Kia attended Jay's picnic. After the meal, they sat by the sea. Jay picked up a red seashell from the ground. Kia immediately identified the seashell's name, origin, and living habits. But Jay's mind wasn't on the seashell. He gave the seashell to Kia as a gift and praised her for being very special. Then, he kissed her. Just as he was about to go further, Kia suddenly pushed Jay away. "Oh, I know you think I'm cheap, but I'm not something that can be bought with a picnic." Jay apologized to Kia. "I don't think you're cheap." Seeing Kia's reaction, Jay also apologized for his abruptness. To make amends to Kia, Jay took her to his secret base. It was the long-abandoned fire tower. Although she was familiar with this swamp area, when she stood on the fire tower, Kia felt extremely surprised. She felt as if it was an old friend she hadn't seen in a long time, but she couldn't remember his appearance. After that, Jay suggested going to Kia's house. Although Kia wasn't ready, Jay insisted on going immediately. As soon as he entered the house, he saw the paintings covering the walls. Jay clearly wasn't interested in these things, but he still confessed his feelings to Kia. "I think you're amazing, really. You're free as the wind and incredibly smart. I won't force you to do anything anymore. How about it?" All right. Perhaps because she had been lonely for too long, Kia forgave Jay's unreasonable behavior and agreed to date him. Kia wasn't sure what her feelings for Jay were, but at least she wasn't lonely anymore. One morning, Kia saw Jay's friends in town, but she didn't approach them. Instead, on a date, she wanted Jay to talk about his friends. But Jay replied that he didn't have many friends and didn't know if anyone truly understood him. Not long after, Kia finally received a reply from the publisher. They were eager to collaborate with Kia. Kia shared the good news with Jay, and they both went to the beach to celebrate. Kia even specially made Jay a necklace from the seashell Jay had picked up on the beach, attaching it to a raw leather strap and tying a knot. Jay always wore it. Now Jay was dead, but the necklace was gone. Jay's mother believed that the killer had taken the necklace, and that killer must be Kia, because not long before, Jay had told his mother that he and Kia had broken up. She believed that Kia intentionally killed him because she couldn't have him. Tom immediately objected because the police had thoroughly searched Kia's house but hadn't found the necklace Jay's mother mentioned. Time returned to 1969. After 6 years, Tate finally returned after finishing his studies. He saw Jay and Kia in love by the lake, somewhat disappointed but not wanting to disturb them. The next day, he happened to meet Jay outside the store. Jay used vulgar words to talk about Kia. Tate was angry and quickly tried to stop him, but Jay got angry. The two exchanged words and almost fought. Fortunately, Juman, the store owner, appeared in time and quelled their anger. That night, Tate sought out Kia, but Kia was very agitated. She didn't want to see this unfaithful man again. At this point, Tate was also quite discouraged. He apologized to Kia for his past actions. He knew he had wronged her. "Kia, you were right. I wasn't brave enough to face you. Leaving you was the worst thing I ever did, the worst thing in my life. I know how deeply I hurt you. As you said, I couldn't face you then. I thought you would never leave the swamp, would never live in any other world. I thought choosing you meant giving up everything. But I realized that the things I once thought were important, scholarships, grants, jobs, meant nothing without you. I made a terrible mistake. I've regretted it for years." Finally, Tate, as before, gave Kia a feather. He told her that he was working at a nearby lab and would not leave again. After returning this time, he tried to get Kia's forgiveness, but Kia currently didn't know how to forgive Tate. The next day, when Kia went to the market in town to buy vegetables, she happened to meet Chase, her boyfriend. While the two were talking, Jay's 3 friends appeared from a distance. Kia thought Jay would introduce her to his friends, but a girl claiming to be Jay's fiancée appeared. When Jay took the girl's hand and left, Kia finally realized that Jay had been deceiving her all along. She tried to suppress her sadness and returned home. But before she could regain her composure, she heard the roar of an engine outside. Kia quickly hid in the woods. After Jay entered the house, he searched everywhere but couldn't find Kia. Jay angrily cursed loudly in the house. After Jay left, Kia quickly ran out. Kia finally understood that she had to live alone again, but deep down, she had known for a long time that no one would stay. Not long after, Kia's first book was finally published. She also received a royalty of $5,000. Kia finally paid off her father's overdue taxes, and she successfully owned 300 acres of land. At the same time, her brother Judy also saw her book. Although he had always been looking for his sister, he didn't expect Kia to still be living here. Except for Kia, Judy didn't find any other siblings. Their mother had passed away many years ago. Judy learned from his aunt that a year after leaving, his mother missed her children very much. So she wrote to their father, hoping to bring the children to live with her, but their father refused her request. After that, her mother saved money to hire a lawyer, but she eventually died of leukemia. The 2 siblings reunited and were very happy. Judy also promised to visit Kia regularly. After the previous incident, Kia and Jay were no longer able to get back together, but as a rich young man, Jay felt insulted. He came to Kia hoping to rekindle their relationship, but Kia didn't want to see him again. In a fit of rage, Jay hit Kia and tried to interact to subdue her. Kia resisted fiercely and finally picked up a stone on the ground to fight back. "Stay away from me, you bastard! If you dare to bother me again, I'll kill you!" Then she quickly packed her belongings and fled deep into the swamp by boat. Jay came looking, but couldn't find Kia. When Kia returned home, she found the room in disarray. Jay had vented all his anger on her paintings. Kia believed that for a man like Jay, the final blow had to be dealt by herself to be truly satisfying. Kia couldn't help but start thinking. A lonely life she could completely endure, but living in fear was absolutely impossible. Kia finally understood why her mother left. She absolutely could not follow in her mother's footsteps, and absolutely could not live in daily anxiety and fear. That night, Tate visited Kia because Juman said he hadn't seen her for a long time. When he saw the wound on Kia's face, he immediately knew that Chase had hit her. Kia planned to go to Greenview next week to meet with the publisher and discuss her next book, but now, with this condition, she hesitated. Tate encouraged Kia not to let him affect her life. "Go to Greenview." Before Kia left, Tate even specially threw her hat to her. And so, on the morning of October 29th, Kia boarded the bus to Greenview. Some witnesses in town also saw this. Mr. Foster of the publishing house could also testify that on the evening of October 29th at 7:00, Kia had dinner with other colleagues. In his impression, Kia was a shy and gentle person. Although Kia was a bit reclusive, everyone knew she was a genius naturalist. That dinner lasted for several hours. During the meal, Kia also told the story of the female insect eating its male mate. Although everyone felt this was immoral, Kia believed that nature had no dark side. It just created a way to survive. The next morning, October 20th, when Foster met Kia again, he didn't notice any abnormalities in her emotions. This was enough to conclude that Kia was not involved in the case. However, the prosecutor's defense lawyer didn't think so. He argued that Kia could have taken the last night bus to return to town to commit the crime. After committing the crime, She took the night bus back to Greenview and returned to the hotel, and during that time, no one could prove anything. Before the jury made its final decision, both the prosecutor and Tom made their final remarks. Tom had lived his entire life in Barkley Cove, and like everyone else here, he had heard the rumors about the Swamp Girl. But the truth was that Kia was just an abandoned child, a child who grew up alone in the swamp. During that time, she was constantly humiliated and bullied. For many, many years, Juman and Ma Ben, the store owners, were almost the only people in town who cared about Kia. Everyone else labeled Kia as an eccentric, and now the judgment of this introverted and abandoned girl was once again in the hands of the townspeople. But Tom believed that everyone here must make a decision based on the evidence presented in court, not on rumors and emotions. In the past 5 years, the prosecution had not had enough evidence to prove this was a murder, but they wanted the jury to believe that at 11:30 p.m., although no witnesses saw Kia, she boarded the last bus from Greenview to Barkley Cove. In less than 1 hour, Kia lured Chase to the fire tower, pushed him down, and killed him. Finally, she wiped away all fingerprints and footprints, quietly took the last bus back to Greenview. These fantasies were not facts. It was just that someone wanted us to believe this was just another rumor about Kia. Tom believed that everyone here would make a decision based on facts, not on the rumors they had heard over the years. After leaving the courtroom, the jury deliberated for 6 hours, and the final verdict was, "We, the jury, find the defendant Kia not guilty in the death of Jay. Ms. Clark, you are free to go. On behalf of the state, I apologize for your incarceration." The trial ended. After a brief farewell to everyone, Kia was taken home by her brother, Judy. Not long after, Kia found Tate. She left a feather on Tate's working boat. Kia finally opened her heart, wanting to share her life with the person she truly loved. Time passed. Kia published more and more books, but she never left the swamp. They painted and researched there, and they both lived peacefully together their entire lives. Many years later, Kia passed away alone. She hoped that when she passed away, she would do so quietly, without too much noise. This time, Kia saw her mother. She smiled and walked towards Kia. When Tate found Kia, she had left this world in her mother's arms. As Tate packed Kia's belongings, he found a book. On one page, Tate discovered a portrait of Chase, and behind the portrait, a seashell necklace was hanging on a raw leather strap. Today's story ends here. Thank you for watching the movie. What do you think of this movie? Please comment below.